Welcome to The Kennel, a Cleveland football podcast, episode 118, coming to you not live, but on video and on all your favorite podcast apps.
You were going to say coming at you live.
I was thinking about it.
Someday.
Coming at you not live, but on all your favorite podcast apps, on YouTube, wherever you want to find us, at Football Kennel, here to talk about the 2020 NFL Draft and what the Browns did with their picks. What's up, Stevie?
What's up, man? Stevie James, Gian Trotta. Very excited about the draft. I feel really great about it. Yeah, actually, it's scary, but I feel wonderful about it.
Yeah, it seems like we made rational moves.
Really good moves.
That made sense with our needs.
And the national media agrees that we made really good moves, which makes me even more nervous.
Oh, always be nervous about the Cleveland Browns maybe doing something right.
Well, we are back-to-back off-season champions.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean much for the regular season, but hopefully we're under new reins and we finally have cohesion.
So today we're going to go through all the picks that the Browns made, get our reaction to it. But before we dive into that, a little bit of news that we wanted to at least touch on. I want to start with this. Last week, we didn't even talk about this for some reason, but the Browns got new uniforms.
Oh, yeah. We were so caught up on doing our top 10 mock draft that we totally forgot to react to the new Cleveland Browns uniforms.
And by new uniforms, we mean they're back to how they were.
And the way they should have been in the first redesign of our uniforms.
I saw a lot of people that were mad saying, these aren't new uniforms, they're just the old ones. And exactly.
That's the point.
Yeah. We should have never changed them. We blew it. And the Haslams know that. And we're back to normal. I saw some people complaining about the color rush, which I can understand. But you guys know me if you've been listening for a while. I love as basic as possible. So the color rush just being the color brown is amazing to me. No stripes, no nothing. Just brown, the numbers, done. I wish the field had nothing on it. No logo in the middle, nothing in the end zones, no mascots. Just a field that we play football on in our brown jerseys with our brown pants.
That's fair, but in the capitalism world of the NFL, a billion-dollar franchise, they like having all these knick-knacky things that they can then make a profit on, for example.
Oh, what? What? I would never, what? Oh, shit.
I think I was one of those people that was quote-unquote upset, and I wasn't really upset, but I was one of those people that were like, man, why did they take the stripes off the Color Rush jerseys? I own a Color Rush jersey, and I really like the old Color Rush jerseys. I might still buy a few of them because they're like super cheap now. They're like in the 50s range now, $50, $55, I think total. So might be worth it to just get those anyways. But I like the new redesign of the jerseys, the uniform. It's back to what it used to be with a slight modern twist, which should have been the redesign.
Yes, that's what they should have just done in the first place. So I couldn't be happier with how the jerseys turned out. And don't forget, we haven't seen them all yet. In the Building the Browns episode forever ago when they were showing Baker and Odell and whatever, the new jerseys, there is one they show Odell and he turns and he says, all orange. And J.W. Johnson or whatever even said, like, we're not going to show these right away. We're going to tuck these away. So there is an all orange probably color rush coming. It's going to be sick.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
I mean, I'm theorizing, but I feel pretty good about it. There's going to be some crazy all orange stuff. It looks like the orange is less orange. I don't know. I think it's the same orange.
The orange is not oranger anymore.
Yeah, because the problem,
just orange.
A lot of the times when you're watching the Browns on TV, it'll look red for whatever reason. Like just the shade of orange. Like if you're like at a bar watching the Browns, like it'll look a little red. And I just, from what I've seen, and like maybe it's the lighting they're using, we'll see when it's actually on TV, but it doesn't seem as red.
No, I think it's gone back to what it was. Yeah, the same hue.
We'll do some research.
You could probably look it up and find the exact hex code and then do the comparisons because I know they have the new orange, which is now not the new orange anymore, and then the old classic orange, and you can compare the hex codes. You can tell the difference.
Facts. So one other piece of NFL news. I know you were excited about this, so why don't you spill the beans?
In the Kennel fashion, this broke maybe 2 days after we posted episode 117. But
if that. Yeah,
so I'm sure you guys already know Gronk is reuniting with Brady, coming out of retirement, and then being traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a 4th-round pick.
And at first I was like, man, just a 4th-round pick for Gronk? And then I was like, well, his contract's like $12 million. It's only 1 year left on it. And he was retired. So Bill Belichick literally got a 4th-round pick for a retired player.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's free money.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. I think a year off, or a couple years, right?
Just 1 year.
Oh, okay. Well, the time off for Gronk, I think, is what he needed to get his body right in shape to come back into football and dominate. I think it's going to be like they never broke up.
Well, he said he's lost some weight. He feels amazing. He did he was doing like CBD, which he obviously won't be able. Well, he could still do it once he's in the NFL. He just has to take that one drug test or whatever, and then he can keep taking his CBD. But
I don't. Is CBD not allowed? Because
I think it's still not allowed.
I'm not sure, because I know who is the other player. It was linebacker we got from the Patriots. It was like the big trade when
Collins.
Jamie Collins. He has a sponsorship by a CBD contract company. He made an ad on Instagram for it.
Well, the ban is on THC, which is not in all CBD products.
Right.
So you can probably still do certain things. You just got to be careful with
Sure.
it. So, no, I'm excited for that. Now they have like Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, Gronk, good receivers on the outside. That Buccaneers offense looks insane, and they did good in this draft. The guy I wanted the Browns to take, Wirfs or whatever out of Iowa, fell to them all the way at 14. So they're able to strengthen the offensive line. They have a million weapons on offense. I'm really excited to watch the Buccaneers offense. Apparently, some Buccaneers staff members are mad at Tom Brady because he's been at the facility and has not been social distancing.
I didn't know it was. Do you think it's? I didn't read that it was Tampa Bay Buccaneers staff members.
I didn't know what it was.
I read that it was other NFL.
Oh, naturally.
People.
They're
because,
jelly. They're
right,
jelly.
They were like expecting swift justice or whatever.
Sure.
Swift discipline by the league.
Maybe he'll get fined or something.
I'm sure he will.
Whatever. Who knows?
Whatever.
All right, well, let's break down this Cleveland Browns NFL draft. And like we said in the intro, I feel really good about it, which makes me scared and sad.
Are you going to give a grade? I did look a grade.
I agree with your grade. I give it, well, I'm going to, spoiler alert,
Should we wait?
Your grade. I'll just say it right now.
Okay.
A+.
A+ for
Amazing.
me as well.
Yeah, great job.
Great job all around, in my opinion.
Most of the media agrees. I know Pro Football Focus gave us an A+, Sports Illustrated gave us a B+, but I don't really care what they think. And there are a bunch of other sites where we are, if we're not getting an A+, we're getting an A, and most people I've read have us in, like, if not the top 5 draft out of all the teams, which you don't know until everybody plays, but it's always nice to get the praise.
Yeah, the consensus is we got who we needed. We strengthened position groups that we needed to strengthen. We got depth where we needed it, and we have some low risk, high reward players we got in the later rounds. So of course, we had won the offseason once again.
Back-to-back offseason champions, baby.
It matters.
So it starts with the 10th pick in the NFL draft, and it's Jedrick Wills. The Browns don't trade down, don't trade up. They sit right there at 10, and I think they luck into getting who they allege it was the top prospect on their board. This is the guy that Joe Thomas liked the most, which is always exciting. And we talked about this a little last week. It worked out in their favor because 3 quarterbacks were taken in the top 9 picks before the Browns were up. And on top of that, the Giants took Andrew Thomas, which surprised everybody because he was not considered the best tackle in this draft, a guy that we thought would fall to us at 10. So they go Andrew Thomas, and no other tackles go off the board coming up to us. I know there were some people saying crazy shit like, oh, all 4 tackles could be gone before the Browns even pick. We could see a historic run on tackles and stuff like that, which, I thought was a little bold, but that's not what happens. And we get arguably the best tackle in the draft at number 10.
Yeah, he was the top tackle in a lot of boards out there. He comes in as Pro Football Focus 3rd best tackle in the draft and 11th player overall on their big board, their big draft board. I would say he has explosion, agility. He obviously played on the right side, but like you mentioned in our last episode, that was the blind side for Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, mm-hmm. And so he comes in, and I think he's going to be ready to make the swift move to left tackle. Joe Thomas believes he's the most NFL-ready tackle from the 2020 draft, and he spoke of having no doubt that Wills can make the switch. He compared his raw skills to Mitchell Schwartz, who struggled a little bit early in his career, but was able to make the switch from left to right and hasn't missed a snap, both playing with the Browns and Kansas City Chiefs, and is like one of the best right tackles in the league. So
Super Bowl champion.
And a Super Bowl champion.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Deservedly so. He's a great guy.
Yeah, so I feel good about the pick. He's already been working on switching to the left side. I think he just turned 21. So it's not a matter of he's been playing right tackle forever. It's going to be impossible to make this transition. It's something he's already been working on, something he's cognizant of, and I think he'll be able to transition just fine. And Joe Thomas has already reached out to him and said he wants to help him in any way he can, because Joe Thomas is the man. So he'll have that working for him, and he's a great athlete. And what I like about him a lot, and after we drafted him, I watched some film, watch some videos of him, and he's violent. That's what I like about him the most. He has the natural athleticism. I mean, his technique is pretty good. It'll get better. He is really young, but he is violent. He loves contact. He loves running. He's amazing in the run game. I think he's definitely better against the run than he is with the pass game, but I think he'll get better with the pass game. And apparently, according to Tua Tagovailoa, he's the alpha male of that offense. I was going to bring that up. So he's the alpha. He's extremely violent. He loves contact. And he's great in the run game. And I got excited thinking about our running game because we brought in Jack Conklin, who's a solid pass protector, but he's really especially great in the run game as well. So now all of a sudden we have two bookend tackles that are extremely physical and thrive in the run game, which is convenient when you have Nick Chubb, you have Kareem Hunt, you have three good tight ends now. We'll get to one of them later, and a head coach that builds his entire offense around running the ball and play action. So it almost looks like everyone, and we'll get into this more, we're drafting players that are not only really good players, but that actually fit our scheme. Like we have some kind of plan.
Wow. Cohesion? That's the word, right?
Everyone's on the same page?
It's crazy, yeah. So, like you mentioned, he's great against the run. He had a 90.5 run blocking grade from Pro Football Focus for his 2019 season. So, yeah, definitely strengthening the run game. And we already had one of the best in the league with a very inconsistent offensive line. So it's going to be good to get some consistency in there, kind of have the opposite, and have that strength to lead the running game and open up some holes for our running backs. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the pick. I'd call it a home run. I know it's not exciting because it's a tackle.
Yeah, let's grade the individual pick as well, so we know our overall grade. And then for our first round pick, I'm going to give this an A++.
Yeah, I'll give it the A+ because I mean at that point it's kind of the no-brainer. I mean, if you look at the board, the guy that we really liked and wanted was Isaiah Simmons. He went to number 8 at the Cardinals. And at that point, you're deciding between Willis, Mekhi Becton, and Tristan Wirfs as far as tackle goes. And I like Tristan Wirfs a little more, personally, but I think it's so negligible. I mean, I'm stoked to have Jedrick Wills, and again, after watching a lot of video on him, I was getting really fired up watching.
Sure. So. And the reason why I really like Jedrick Wills is because I think out of all, like a lot of pundits were putting out there, he is the most NFL ready. I think he's the most well-rounded. His biggest question mark, the biggest quote-unquote question mark that we're going to have with him is that switch from right to left. Besides that, there's not like, oh, he does this one thing wrong. He's not bad against the run, but great against Pat. Like, no, it's just the switch. That's the only thing we have to worry about. And that is negligible at this point. Is switching from right to left is not like it used to be. It barely matters now. Especially because we're mostly going to be running. So sure. The easiest transition from right to left is run blocking. It's the pass blocking that's hard because you have to get like that. Like what made Joe Thomas so great was he had that big first step where he would pop back super fast. Oh sure. Man, I miss Joe Thomas. But I'm very excited to have Wills finally shore up that blind side. If Wills pans out, all of a sudden we have an explosive 25 point per game offense. Maybe the best offensive line in the NFL. I mean, if he pans out, we already have 3 guys that are proven. I mean, Bitonio, Treader, and Conklin are all top 5 at their position. Sure. Like, that's not debatable. That's what it is. If Wills can be even a top 10 left tackle, then we have the best offensive line in football, straight up. On paper. Whew. That's always important to say. Whew. Let's move on to our second round pick and talk about Grant Delpit, or how I called him last episode, something like that with a G. Hilarious. Yeah. But I did mention that he was someone I liked coming into the second round and someone that was likely to fall to us, and guess that's... You nailed that. Nailed that, but that's about all I nailed when it came to our mock draft. But that's fine. You win some, you lose some. But I like Grant Delpit a lot. He fell down on some boards, mostly because he missed some tackles late in his collegiate career. but I think he makes up for that in his ability as a coverage safety and the length and ability he has in the sight to kind of jump into those pass lanes. I think that's exactly what we need in a coverage safety. I think somebody that will develop. He'll learn to tackle once you're in the league and your work. This is your job now. That kind of changes a little bit. We saw the same thing with Greedy. Greedy had big question marks around his tackling, and we almost saw right away that he was tackling and he was tackling hard because now he's getting paid to do this. So that's the big difference. I think he also has the reach to take on the bigger wide receivers, the tight ends. So it'll be good. That's something we'll need losing Joe Schobert.
Yeah, I like Grant Delpit a lot, and I really little caveat on Greedy Williams. Everyone, at least on Twitter, has been acting like he still can't tackle, which was strange to me because, as you just noted, in watching the games last year, Greedy Williams was physical. He was making some plays in the running game, and he proved. I thought that he was more than willing to tackle. And yeah, he had some whiffs or whatever, but what cornerback
he was
doesn't?
A rookie.
Yeah, what rookie cornerback, and cornerbacks in general don't have some whiffs on NFL running backs. I mean, that shit happens. But I thought he proved himself, and I think we'll see something similar with Grant Delpit. I think there's two factors why he wasn't necessarily the best tackler last year. He played almost all season with a high ankle sprain, so that's going to make life difficult for you. And going into the season, he was a projected top 10 draft pick by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of, because the season he had previously, he had 5 interceptions and 5 sacks in the same season.
So 7 pass breakups.
So going into this season, he was already pretty much penciled in as a top 10 pick. He's dealing with the high ankle sprain, and it's kind of like you were just saying. I mean, how badly do you really want to lay someone out when you know you're a top 10 pick, you already have an injury? And I know you guys can say, well, pride football, I don't want those kind of players, but let's get real here. Mm-hmm. Talking about millions of dollars on the line. I think anyone's going to do something a little differently.
And I think like players have that mindset has shifted.
Yeah, I mean, be real here. So the thing I like about him too, I know we have a lot of LSU players now, obviously, but it's not, he's coming off a national championship victory, and he's coming from a team that plays at a high level every year in front of 100,000 people. I mean, it's just nice to have people that come from championship pedigree schools because That's
why we're happy about finally having Ohio State players, Alabama players, like all these players that are coming in from these big collegiates.
Yeah, and these are also, the 5-star recruits out of high school. These are the guys that at the top of the natural gift athletic food chain. So I'm excited to have him. I think he's going to excel. He's obviously, we talked about his tackling and stuff, but where he really excels is in pass coverage. He's going to be our free safety. So basically the role that Demarius Randall played, he'll be taking over for, and I think it's going to be able to do it at a really high level. He's super fast. He's big, 6'2", 213. He's instinctual. I think with the right coaching, he could be a big deal and be a day one starter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he's good. He definitely has the potential to be a day one starter. We obviously have those. And the great thing too is like where he lacks, we kind of signed veteran leadership to fill those gaps. So it'll be nice because Andrew Sendejo and Carl Joseph they're great against the run. They're great at making those line of scrimmage tackles, kind of playing those like hybrid strong safety coverage safety roles. So that'll be good.
I do want to point out too that we actually traded down a few spots in the second round before taking him, and we gained a 5th round pick in this year's draft in doing so, and we'll talk about what we ended up doing with that. So, I mean, overall, a great move, and it looks like the strategy that the Browns were employing was best player available based on need, and if it was a reach to take that player, then they would just trade down and take that player. So I think how they set up their board and how they executed the draft, I thought was pretty brilliant. I think they knew that they wanted to take Grant Delpit, and they also knew that they could move back a few spots and still be able to take him.
I'm going to give Grant Delpit my individual grade A+.
Yeah, same. Fuck it, A+.
Mostly because I called it. So
you did call it. You did. Even though you couldn't say his name, you did. You did call it.
I can never say any names, as we all know.
True.
So if you're just brand new to listening or watching, I never get names right ever, pronunciation or just like, or even close to what they actually are. His name's Grant. I went Gat.
He's got a weird
name.
A
weird name.
Like Grant, super weird name.
You guys are used to this by now. So
I hope so.
Moving on to the next pick, Jordan Elliott. You start this one off.
Big pick. So I didn't like a lot of these guys. I mean, I'll be fully transparent. I don't do an insane amount of research going past the first round prospects just because. I mean, geez, man. Like we'll let the professionals do that. Maybe someday if we're big shots, we'll have the time, but we ain't got the time for that. So we're just
when there's a budget for Pro Football Focus Plus or whatever it is.
Yeah, so
all the other breakdown stuff.
And the time is the problem. There's so many players, but we're kind of reacting as players are drafted. I'm then with them going back and doing my research. Sure. And with Jordan Elliott, I was kind of blown away that we were able to get him in the third round. It didn't really even make sense to me.
Huge steal. Yeah.
Starting with the Pro Football Focus stuff, he was the 23rd rated player by Pro Football Focus on their big board, 23rd, and we got him in the third round at the 88th overall selection, which is crazy. But even more interestingly, he was the only player in college football who had a 90-plus pass rushing grade and a 90-plus run defense grade. So he was arguably, maybe it was interior lineman. I'm not sure, whatever the exact thing was. But moral of the story is
he was coming off of a 2019 in which he earned grades of 90 or higher as both a run defender and pass rusher.
Yeah, big time, which he was either the only interior defensive lineman or the only defensive player to do that. Regardless, that's amazing. That's what you want out of a player. So, I mean, you could sit here and be nitpicky.
Yeah,
that's the word.
You got it.
Nitpicky about his explosion off the line, or he needs to be a little more violent with his hands, or put on a little more strength. Whatever, I get that. But to get a player out of Auburn in the third round that was rated so highly by not just Pro Football Focus, but in looking into it, there were some other draft analysts who wrote very favorably of him, and to get him in the third round is amazing. And interior depth on the defensive line is so important. As we know, we watched I know the San Francisco 49ers lost the Super Bowl, but they were able to get there by bolstering up their defensive line, and we brought in a guy who was a coach on their defense. So
just a correction, he played for Missouri.
Apologies.
But I think
Missouri and Auburn are both like cats teams. A lot of college football teams are cats.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Some kind.
Yeah, college. What are you going to do?
College, it's weird.
His name's Jordan Elliott. He plays defensive tackle for a team.
That's right.
Now he plays for the Browns.
That's all that matters.
So, yeah.
All right, that was close. But yeah, so I'm stoked on the pick. I think there's a lot of potential there. And it's nice, too, because we don't have to rely on him to be a day one starter. We have two starting defensive tackles with Sheldon Richardson and Ogunjobi. So this guy, and we brought in the other defensive tackle from Cincinnati, whose name I'm drawing a blank on. So we're going to have Jordan Elliott as another rotational piece, and I think that's big.
Yeah, and I think that'll serve well for his development. He has the great combo of like size and athleticism for a defensive tackle. He, like you said, he'll be great against the run. He'll be great as a pass. He has potential to be productive as a pass rusher. So I think a huge steal for the third round. I'm going to give it an A.
Yeah, I'll give it an A as well. I mean, to me, based on, we could get into who was available at that time and stuff like that, but to me, that's kind of like the no-brainer pick. I mean, that's what a lot of these picks look like, where it's like, well, yeah, duh, that's
what they should do. Yeah,
that's what you should pick.
He's there, grab him.
Great, do it. Yeah.
Next, we'll go to Jacob Phillips, a linebacker, another LSU player. I would say probably the only player so far that's come off the board that you can make the argument was a bit of a reach at this point in the draft. But personally, I think still a great job to get Jacob Phillips. We obviously have some holes at linebacker, missing Christian Kirksey and Joe Schobert, losing them both in free agency. But from an athletic standpoint, I think Phillips, he has the explosion and the burst that you like to see for like those hybrid linebacker type of dudes that are prevalent right now in the NFL and NFL defenses. He has a few holes in his development, mostly when it comes to pass coverage, like switching direction, that kind of stuff. So he'll have to improve in that sense. But I think, yeah, he has the potential to be a rotational player and potentially move on and develop from there to be better than that.
Yeah, this I would say was the worst pick the Browns made in this draft. That's not even to say that it's inherently bad. Another LSU guy. So everything we talked about, played on a championship team, all that stuff. I thought LSU's defense was not great at times, and he was in the middle of it. The Ravens did draft Patrick Queen, who was another linebacker from LSU. They took him in the first round, so he'll probably end up being really good and be a huge pain in the ass. But Jacob Phillips, questionable, and the thing that I don't like about it is the very next pick, the Ravens took Malik Harrison out of Ohio State. And I would have gone towards Malik Harrison in this draft, not just because Ohio State homer, but Malik Harrison is about 20 pounds bigger than Jacob Phillips, and Malik is really good against the run. That's probably his strong point, while Jacob Phillips is more of can be good against the run. What's nice about him is he's a real surefire tackler, but in terms of size and plugging the gaps, as they say, I just think Malik Harrison would have been a better choice, and it sucks because right after Jacob Phillips gets drafted by us, the very next pick is Malik Harrison to the Ravens. So that's a pain in the ass. So if we're wrong on that, and Jacob Phillips is not good, and Malik Harrison is as good as I think he's going to be, well, we're going to see him twice a year, every year. So that sucks. But again, I'm kind of nitpicking. I'm not mad about the Jacob Phillips pick. From a grade standpoint, I'll just give it a C. It's average.
I was going to say a C+, average.
Yeah, I don't really feel strongly about it.
Yeah.
It's our second, third round pick. It's the fourth player we drafted. I mean,
right.
So who knows? And again, I'm not a scout. How much video have I watched on Jacob Phillips? I've watched 2 videos.
Very little.
That's my professional opinion. I've watched 2 videos and read like 4 articles about it. So that's where I'm at. I'm happy to be wrong. Hope he's great.
Moving on to Jacob Phillips, we just talked about him. Moving on to Harrison Bryant, tight end out of Florida Atlantic University.
Where your sister went to school.
Where my sister just graduated from.
Woo!
Yeah, she sent me a video of him, some highlights when we drafted him.
Oh, nice.
We went to school together.
She's like, that's my school.
Yeah,
Nice, cool.
So I don't know if they know each other.
Probably not.
You actually brought that up, and I was like, I don't know. Text, and I texted her like, do you know him?
No word.
I don't know yet because we're recording. So
weird, right? Yeah.
So I would say this is a good pick for where we're at. I kind of feel like he's in the middle between a pass catcher and a traditional run blocking, pass blocking tight end. I don't think he's body wise. I don't think he's like perfectly there as a pass catcher, and I obviously don't think he's there as a traditional blocking tight end because he's kind of small. He'll have to, I think, transform his body one way or the other. But where there's a positive is he improved every year in college, and you did see him jump to 240 pounds and make that transition into his last year in college, where he gained that poundage to be a bigger, more menacing guy. He also won the Mackey Award last season for top tight end in football. So, yeah, just feeling all right about it.
I actually feel really good about this pick, and again, when he was drafted, I had no idea who that was. So I did my research, and in looking up everything, I'm actually really impressed with this guy. So he's out of Florida Atlantic, which is Division II, but he was able to win the Mackey Award, the best tight end in college football, which is the first time any Florida Atlantic player has won a major individual award. And in looking at his stats and his team and his production, he led his team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns as a tight end. In high school, we were looking this up before the episode, he played offensive tackle and defensive end. So he's used to being on the line of scrimmage. And based on the scouting report I've read, I didn't watch any video of him blocking, just video of him pass catching, and it looked really good. But according to the scouting report, he plays bigger than his size. So I still agree that to be a tight end in the NFL, you got to be a little bigger than, he's 6'4", 6'5" at 240. So you want him to put on 10 to 20 pounds realistically to be more effective as a blocker. But really, he's our third or fourth tight end right now, and he can play out of the slot, and he does have decent speed and size, could be a good red zone target. So I think this is a guy that you can move around the formation. He's a willing blocker, so that's a step in the right direction, so as he gets stronger. And this is a guy, again, this is different. It's nice that our team is a little more developed than it usually is, because typically when we're doing these drafts, every pick we're like, can this guy start? Can he save us? Can he help us, please?
Yeah.
But now, and I even saw some people freaking out on Twitter. It's like, why are we taking a tight end? We already have 2 tight ends. I'm like, bro, it's the 4th round, man. First of all.
And Kevin Stefanski says he likes tight ends.
And we're going to be using a lot of tight ends. And I thought this was interesting, too. Last year I was looking at the Vikings 53-man roster. They only kept 5 receivers and I think 4 tight ends. So you have to kind of look at the tight end position similar to how you would look at your receivers, because we're going to be using 2 or 3 of them on the field at the same time pretty often.
Sure.
So I think it makes sense to get that depth. Plus you have the injury concerns with Njoku. There's a lot of stuff with it. But this is a guy who I'm not going to sit here and say like he's going to make a huge impact his rookie year. But I think, especially we don't know if we're going to keep Njoku past this year, but I think this guy can develop into a really, really good tight end, and I give this pick an A+.
I'm going to give it a solid B.
Okay.
For has potential, late round pick, high risk, low reward. I mean, low risk, high reward.
There it is. Cool. That's fair. That's fair. So
Let's go to Nick Harris.
Nick Harris. So this pick is cool because we mentioned earlier that we traded down
for Grant Delpit.
Yeah, from Grant Delpit. Also, we traded down in the 3rd round as well. I forgot to mention this. I think it was the Jordan Elliott pick. We traded down in the 3rd round, moved down 12 spots, and picked up a 3rd round pick in next year's draft. So we're already headed into next year's draft with 2 3rd round picks.
Wow.
Which is sick.
Great move.
So anyways, to Nick Harris, who we drafted in the 5th round, this is with the pick we got from trading down with Grant Delpit. And this is a center for the Washington Huskies that we picked up. I like this pick a lot. And again, I saw people freaking out online. This is a 5th round pick freaking out online. We don't need a backup center. It's, oh my God. 5th round, guys.
Keep in mind, he also played guard the first few years of college.
First couple years he played guard. He can play center. We don't have a true backup center. That's important to have. J.C. Treader is older, and it's good to develop offensive linemen. And
we never know. You never know he could make the transition from center to guard. I'm not saying he will. Honestly, he was most productive when making the transition from guard to center. But I still think that there's the potential there for him to develop into someone. And you're right. I mean, this is a fifth
We're in
round
the 5th round, and it's a pick we got for trading down in the 2nd. Like, this is free money you're playing with here. So get a developmental guy. Build depth on the interior of the offensive line.
Yeah,
like,
why not? Where we still have the whole like guard. Like, we still don't know what's going to happen there. So obviously 2,921 snaps for the Huskies over the past 4 years. Played his first 2 years at guard sparingly, and then he made that transition to center after his 2017 season. He improved in both pass protection and run blocking after making the transition. I think that, like we've been saying, the technique he has, there's a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm. And one knock on him is he's a little undersized, so he needs to put on a little bit of weight, a little bit of muscle. That's why we have strength and conditioning coaches. And again, we got to get Browns fans, we got to get out of the mindset of like every pick in the NFL draft needs to be a starter that saves us. Like, we're not at that point anymore. So this is a depth pick. This is a guy who doesn't have to play a snap in 2020, and it could still be a good pick. This is a guy that we can develop. Yeah, best case scenario, he kicks ass and he can start at right guard. Awesome.
Sure.
But I'm not even expecting that.
No.
I'm expecting him to be our backup center, and who knows, maybe 2 years from now, J.C. Treader retires or moves on, and he can slide right into that spot. Who knows? Or maybe he doesn't pan out. It is a 5th round pick. Something like, I think once you get to the 5th round, or even once you get to the 4th round, like 10% of these players even make teams further than a year in. So like, it's really a crapshoot at this point in the draft. So
yeah.
I think it's a great pick. I think it makes a lot of sense to bulk up the interior offensive line, and it's nothing crazy, flashy, or amazing. So I'll give it a B+. I feel good about it.
I'm gonna give it a B as well. Solid B.
Another B.
Another B.
Whenever you say B, it sounds so like
B.
Yeah, so low and down.
And down to the 6th round, right? They didn't make, because we didn't have a pick in the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So 6th round, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Love that name for some reason.
It is a great name, Peoples-Jones.
Something about Donovan Peoples-Jones that I like. But honestly, the pick overall, same thing. Crapshoot, 6th round. He definitely has the physical tools, but I don't think he was very consistent on the football field. He might have a potential role in the return game, but just a big depth piece, in my opinion. Don't kill me, Twitter. But yeah.
This is a pick I like a lot because it's 6th round. So if we there were some mocks that had this guy going as high as the 3rd round, some late 2nd. Which is crazy to me, but this was a really deep receiver class, so I get it. And I know everyone was freaking out that we needed a receiver, and I think we got a guy who has the potential to make a big impact. He's a big dude, 6'2", 212, and what's exciting about him is he's a freak of an athlete. He ran a 4.48, which is really good for his size, but most impressively, his vertical jump at the combine was 44.5 inches, which was the best at the combine. That's crazy high jumping. I mean, this dude can probably dunk like a motherfucker. And he also had the best broad jump at 139 inches. So this dude's an explosive athlete. And if you look at his highlights, which I watched one highlight video, he does have some really big time catches down the field, using his body to shield off the defender, making an athletic catch. He has some good returns as well that are pretty impressive. It's hard to really know how good he is because Michigan's offense did struggle a lot and their quarterback was really inconsistent. And their offense was also designed to spread the ball around. So you're in an offense that spreads the ball around and your quarterback's inconsistent. It's really hard to show off what you're capable of as a receiver, but he's an athletic freak and he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So the potential is there. I mean, he could be like, I think a great way to look at him is his ceiling is unlimited. He could be a great receiver one day. Obviously, it's not that likely, but as far as all the physical tools are concerned, he's got every physical tool you could ever need to be a big-time NFL receiver. So
that's fair.
I think it's a great 6th-round pick. He was projected to go in the 3rd or 4th round. So you get him in the 6th round, and you have a guy that can maybe be your returner who could develop into something awesome. And don't forget, too, what's nice is some of the knocks on him are his route running isn't great. He's a little inconsistent, stuff like that. Well, now he's paired up with Jarvis and Odell, who are 2 of the best route runners in the NFL. And if that's not going to motivate you and teach you to get better and use your athleticism, I don't know what will.
Sure. All right. Well, I'll give it a C+.
Cool. I'll give it an A. Let's give it a solid A.
Solid A.
As far as a 6th-round pick is concerned, I mean, I think that's about as good as it gets.
Fair enough.
Again, if we took him in the 3rd round, I'd be like, C-, C, the potential's there. But 6th-round pick, A, hell yeah, screw it.
That's fair enough, man.
Hurt.
I like it. Tell us your thoughts on how the Browns did for the 2020 NFL Draft. Hit us up on Twitter at Football Kennel, Instagram at Football Kennel, Facebook, YouTube, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave a comment and let us know what you think.
And make sure you subscribe, yeah. And if you're listening and you want to look us up on YouTube, we can't have a URL until we have 100 subscribers. We're getting kind of closer. So you just search The Kennel episode 118 and we'll be there, whatever. Subscribe while you're there.
We'll be there, whatever.
So last thing, we're going to award some points real quick.
For our top 10 NFL mock draft.
That's right, that we did last week. So if you want to go back and listen to that episode because you're crazy, go ahead, whatever. So we'll start with the first pick. We're just going to run through this quickly. We both went with Joe Burrow. That was an easy one. Points for both of us. Boom.
Points for both of us.
Next one, Washington. You went crazy, so yours is a little off, but you went crazy. You went Derek Brown. I said Chase Young, so I'm getting the points on this one.
So I get,
hey, respect.
Yeah, that's what I get.
You listened to all the pundits that were like, "This is going to be wild and crazy," and not like any of the mock drafts. And then it was kind of like most of the
exactly like most of the drafts.
Yeah, that was weird. So then Detroit. You had Chase Young, which obviously no. I had the Chargers trading up and drafting Justin Herbert. We'll explain kind of what happened there. But number 3, Detroit went with Jeff Okudah, which I had Detroit taking Jeff Okudah at number 6. So I get a little bit of point.
You get points. I'll give you points.
I'll take the points straight up. Nice.
Points.
New York Giants. You had him taking Jedrick Wills, which is funny. You had him going at number 4, which I thought would have been smart for them to take him, but they didn't.
Yeah. Well, I thought they were looking for an offensive tackle to protect Daniel Jones.
There it is.
Oh, we
remembered his name this time. Yeah,
forgot his name last.
And Saquon
week,
Barkley. And you were right. They took a tackle. Just they surprised everyone with Andrew Thomas. So I think you deserve like a little bit of point, maybe.
One mini point.
Mini point.
I'll take it.
Cool. And I thought the Giants would do something dumb and take CeeDee Lamb, which they didn't at all. So I'm just completely wrong on that one. Moving to Miami, you went with Justin Herbert, and I went with Tua Tagovailoa, which I was right. Hit the nail on the head there. So
yeah, nailed it. I want to say I have a Miami Dolphins insider, and he told me that they were going to draft, that they were looking at Tua Tagovailoa, blah, 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 and he believed that was the choice. And I didn't listen to him.
Yeah, we're bad with insiders and relaying that information. And this guy's legit. He got you a tour of Miami Stadium and everything.
Yeah. We posted.
He's like a real
Twitter,
guy. He's like part of the team.
Real person. So,
which is weird. But
I'm not going to say that, but I'll say.
Yeah, we'll never not like the you know what I mean. Whatever. Anyways,
he's a player for the.
Yeah, he actually plays for the Dolphins. No, I'm kidding.
Somehow you got me a tour.
Yeah,
even though they were playing away that week.
Weird, right?
But he was touring me around the stadium.
Yeah, we'll never be your source for like inside news, and even if like like sometimes we have inside news and we just don't even.
We ignore it because
we don't even tell anybody.
I don't know. We can't confirm it.
Yeah, and like, what's the point? We don't care. We're here to react and have a good time. So moving to the LA Chargers.
Ryan, did you get your points?
Oh yeah, give me some points. Thank
Points
you.
for Tua to
Tua to Miami. Number 6, the LA Chargers. I had them trading up. Well, first of all, they drafted Justin Herbert. I had them trading up to draft Justin Herbert, which they didn't do, but they still drafted him. So
points for you.
Points for me. You said Jeff Okudah. Not so good.
Nope.
Carolina here. They ended up going with what? They went with Derek Brown, right?
Carolina went with Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So they went with Derek Brown, which neither of us were correct because you had the Browns trading up to 7 here to take Isaiah Simmons. I thought Carolina would take Isaiah Simmons, and I still think they should have. But they went with Derek Brown. Moving over to Arizona. We both thought they were going to go offensive tackle. Oh, there goes your mic.
Oh.
Hate when that happens. We both thought Arizona was going to go with offensive tackle. You had them taking Tristan Wirfs. I had them going Jedrick Wills. So there's Jedrick Wills again, going earlier than we picked him. But instead, they end up getting Isaiah Simmons, which I don't blame them for going Isaiah Simmons after he falls to them at 8. But neither of us get points.
No points for us. Quite a shame.
Moving on to Jacksonville, you had them taking a receiver with Jerry Jeudy, which may have been smart. I think Jerry Jeudy is actually really good. I had Derek Brown still on the board, so I had him going to Jacksonville, and neither of us are correct. And they go with, who is it?
C.J. Henderson.
C.J. Henderson.
Out of Florida.
Which I saw a lot of mock draft type people starting to talk about towards when it was getting closer to the draft. He flew up a lot of boards. Good cornerback. So they got to replace, what's his name? Jalen Ramsey.
Florida,
yep, got to replace Jalen Ramsey.
Fair enough.
And then back to Cleveland. We didn't get this right. You had them trading up, and the Panthers taking Andrew Thomas here. I had them going Tristan Wirfs here. So I get a little point for a tackle. That's right.
Yeah, you get a mini point.
A little mini point for the tackle. And that's about it. So I wasn't keeping track, but I definitely won.
Yeah, I'm not even going to argue with that one.
And that's
But I do get, Grant Delpit points.
Oh, yeah, you did say watch out for him.
Nice.
So that did happen.
Points.
So a little point for that.
And that gets me over to beat you.
No.
No, you win for sure.
You have still lost.
Yeah.
So that's that. We awarded the points. It's good to get some points again. It's been a while.
Points.
Nice.
We didn't involve you guys in this one, but that's fine.
No, we didn't.
You will get you'll get your chance.
It'll be fine. Yeah, don't sweat it. So overall, moral of the story, feel great about the draft. Very excited moving forward. I don't know what we're going to do next, what we're going to talk about next. We'll see. We'll definitely be back next week. We'll talk about some stuff for sure. Maybe we'll kind of, there's the one thing we didn't
break down the AFC North in their draft.
Yeah, we might do some of that. One thing we didn't talk about at all is
what we're gonna do.
We signed 20 undrafted free agents.
Yeah, so. I looked at the list. The problem is that until the team makes actually has a press conference introducing the new players and kind of letting us know who they signed, it's a crapshoot. We don't know. Some are Twitter sources. Some are the players tweeting, "Thank you, Browns, for giving me an opportunity." Some are actual confirmed contracts that are out there. There's no way to confirm.
And there's 20 of these people. We'll probably never talk about them until we're into the preseason and players are getting cut or making the team and stuff
so that one's a little bit
I'm
tough.
not really that worried about it. But I think that's a good idea. We can look at what the AFC North did, not just in this draft, but in this offseason. We'll catch up with the AFC North. So that's what we'll do next episode. So look forward
North
to that.
Breakdown.
Hate all those assholes. I'll tell you right now, the Ravens did a good job in this draft from what I've seen. We had some good thoughts on the Bengals. I think we'll have some good convo about this.
I disagree.
Do we disagree with what the Ravens did?
The Bengals.
No, I don't think the Bengals had a good draft. I think we had a good conversation about what the Bengals did. So we'll get into it next episode. The Ravens, I think, had a good draft. The Bengals,
details will be broken down.
The Bengals will tell you how we really feel next episode. We're still way better.
Stupid Tigers.
Hate the Bengals. Can't believe they beat us once last year. God damn it, Freddie. You son of a bitch, man.
Yeah, he might have been horrible.
But Baker's still 3-1 against the Bengals, so that's tight. Anyways, I digress. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode of The Kennel. Thanks for listening. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment.
Subscribe. The button's over here. Did
all
we
that
confirm
crap.
that?
We did confirm. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave us a review, 5-star rating, subscribe. Do what you gotta do.
On iTunes, Apple Podcasts, that's the best.
All of them. That would be ideal. That'd be great. So thanks for listening or watching or both, and we will see you next week. Go Browns.
Go Browns.